Hello, guys. I would like to welcome you to the journey of programming. I would like to congratulate you that you have taken the step to learn programming. The first level of learning and in the journey of programming is learning C programming language. So we'll start from the basic. So I would like to welcome you all to the world of C programming language. Now we'll start with the basic history of C programming language, that is, C is developed by Dennis Ritchie at Bell Laboratories. As we are learning C language, it is very important to know that who developed it, and it was developed by Dennis Ritchie at Bell Laboratories. Now, there is a long history behind how C got its popularity and how the idea of making C came up, but I would not like to bore you with the history of C. The only important part was that it is developed by Dennis Ritchie at Bell Laboratories, which I have already told you. I would not like to waste your time by telling you the whole history of C language, because the most important part is the coding part and we should focus on it. And even if you want the history of C language, you can comment it below. I would love to tell you the history. It is an inspiration, so I would love to tell you the history, but here we are only focusing on learning C language. Okay, so if we are learning C language, we should know what are the reasons that we should learn the C language. So the first reason is that it helps to master other programming languages. Whenever anybody starts their journey in programming languages, in learning programming languages, or to make a career in programming, the first language anybody would teach them or they would learn is the C programming language. Why? Because C programming language acts as a base to every other language. Even if you are planning to specialize in Python or to do specialization in Java, every person will learn C language before doing any other languages or before learning any other languages, because by doing C language you will be able to understand all the coding terms, all the concepts which we would be using throughout our programming journey and in all different languages. The concept would be same. So the C programming helps us to master this programming languages, because with the help of C programming we will learn the complete basics of how the programming, how to code, and how the code runs, and what is the concept behind everything, and what is the logic behind writing this code and everything. So after learning C language, it will be really easy for you to learn any other language like Python, Java, anything. Now, next point is it brings performance. Now, what does this mean? By practicing and learning C language, it helps to increase your performance in coding part. It helps to increase your logic. It helps to increase your logical thinking in your mind, which will be really easy. Which will help you to really easily adapt any other programming language and grasp it. And you can, after learning this, you can even make logics in in minutes in other programming languages. It will be that simple for you after learning C language. So it is very much important to learn C language before learning any other languages. Then you will be able to start understanding the fundamentals of computers. Now, what does this mean? This means is that here you can see that Linux is the open source operating system written in C language. Now, Here I am using Windows operating system, and similarly there is a Linux, which is an operating system, and you all know that operating system is the base of any computer, and it is written in C language. So now you can understand how it helps us to understand the fundamentals of programming, but it also helps us to understand the fundamentals of computers. It helps us to understand, make us understand that how the computer works, how the machine takes the code, and how it converts it into different language, everything. Now this will be explaining further in our other slides. Okay. Now the next point is it powers the world. How we can say that it powers the world? See here what it is written. Linux is the open source operating system. Linux has now become one of the popular operating system. What does this open source operating system means? Open source operating system here means that it open source operating system here means that you can go and find the code of Linux, that how it is written, what coding part is done, and what all things are done, and you can even change the code according to your requirement. This means that it is an open source operating system. Like Windows and all other operating systems are not open source. They don't show their code, how they have coded, how the things are working behind the computer. When you click here, how it gets clicked. It is this all things are not shown in other operating systems, but in Linux it is shown what is the coding part behind all these things. And the beautiful and the best part about it is that it is written in C language. It is written in C language. So now you can understand that how much C language is important. C language helps to write the operating systems. Understood? And the operating system is the basic of your computer. Without operating system, your computer or a laptop is nothing. So the operating system is the most important thing. Now, in this video, I will only like to tell you about the theory and what are the important terms which we should be learning before starting coding part. Okay, so this video will only be about the important terms and important theories. Now in this, the first we have to learn is compiler and the second is interpreter. Now first you have to understand what the compiler does. Compiler acts as a translator. You are understanding? Compiler acts as translator. Between whom? Between our code and between the computer. Now you will say how? See, we write the whole code in English language. But our whole system don't understand English language or any other language which we speak and we understand. Okay, so computer or a laptop understands which language? It understands binary language. It understands binary language. Binary language is a language which consists of and which is made up of zeros and ones. It is a language which is made up of zeros and ones. So this binary language is called machine language. So the computer only understands the language of zeros and ones. So there is a great need to convert our English written code into machine language, into binary numbers, that is combination of 0 and 1. So compiler does this work for us. Understood? Now the same work is done by interpreter. Then you will ask me what is the difference between this compiler and interpreter. See, assume that you have written 5 lines of code. Okay, you have written 5 lines of code. Then this compiler will first read the whole code and then convert it into binary, and then it will give you the required output. Okay, but what this interpreter will do? This interpreter will read only the first line. Understood? It will read only the first line. It will read only the first line, and it will convert this first line into binary. Then it will give you the output. Then it will read the second line. Then it will go and give you, and then it will again give you this. Then the third line, and similarly line by line it will read and give you output. It will read and give you the output. That's why here it is specified that it does it line by line. It does the same work that compiler does, but it reads the whole code and compile it. And in interpreter, it read one line and then compile it. Read one line and then compile it. What does compiling means? Compiling means converting it into binary code. It converts it into binary code. It converts English language into machine language. We can even say that it converts high level language into low level language. Okay, it converts high level language into low level language. Machine language is a low level language. Okay, low level language. And the our English language or our programming language is called the high level language. Okay, it is called high level language. Now here it is shown that how the compiler works and how the interpreter works. Now you should understand this part. See, this is the source code. Source code means high level language. Okay, source code is in high level language. Okay, now it goes to compiler. Compiler will read the one line or the whole line. Whole code, it will read the whole code, and this whole code will be converted to what? It will be converted to machine code, or we can say that it will be converted to binary code. Okay, and this binary code will then be read and will be given us as output. In between, it will be again converted to our high level language, because we also don't understand the computer's language, which is the binary language. We don't understand that. Yes, so that's why it again gets converted to high level language and we get the required output here. Now, how the interpreter works? See, you can see that this whole part, I'm really sorry for that. See here, this whole part is missing, right? In the interpreter, this whole part is missing in the interpreter. Why? So this part is directly done in here, in this step. This whole part is directly done in this step. Okay, the one line comes from here, it gets read, it gets converted into machine language and then directly be given. Then another line comes, goes and again goes. Another line comes and like this way. It goes, comes, goes. Okay. Here see, I have made only one arrow. It went into compiler, then into machine code and then into output. But here I have to make many number of arrows. Why? Because one line read and given output. Then second line read, then given output. Then third line read and given as the output. Okay. So now I hope you understood the difference between compiler and interpreter. Compiler reads the whole code in one go. What you should say, it reads the whole code in one go and converts the whole code into machine language in one go. An interpreter does it line by line. Okay, now if you want the video on the difference between compiler and interpreter, then you can comment in the comment section and please let me know. I will surely make it. And also you can read it from Google, the difference between compiler and interpreter, and you will get the complete idea how the compiler and interpreter is different from each other, because it will consist of definition, how it is different, the working of compiler and interpreter. So the whole image of the compiler and interpreter will be clear. Okay, so this is it for this video. I will let you know all the other terms in my other video. So please like, share and subscribe, and please feel free to post your all queries in the comment section. I will surely answer them. Okay, and share it with your friends. Anybody who wants to learn C programming, there is no age of learning programming. You can learn it at any age. If you are at 40s, if you are a 15 year student, you are studying 10th standard, or you are in a college level, or you have graduated, there is no such age barrier. You can learn it at any time, and I am making this C programming whole playlist so easy that anybody who are new in the world of programming can learn it. So please like it, share it with your friends and subscribe it. Thank you.